So I'm going to step things up now and get the enemy shooting at the player object. So what I've done is I've created a enemy laser sprite. Let's just show you that. So it's just 2 frames. It's a little 8 pixel by 8 pixel ball that flashes. The origin is at center. The collision mask is an ellipse, so it just covers the sprite of the bullet. And I've created a enemy laser object, and we're going to use the sort of same kind of system as the player. So something will happen in the enemy object, and that will create an instance of the enemy laser. So we need to add event, which is the create event, and we need to put some code in. I'm going to start with a new if statement, which is if instance exists player 1. Now the reason I'm doing this is because later on, when we create the system that will destroy the player object when a bullet hits it, if we put in the rest of this code, it won't work, because what we're going to do is use the player variable x and y position to send the bullet towards the player. And if the player's not there because it's been destroyed, that'll crash the game because it can't find those variables. So it's really important that we have this if statement first. So if instance exists, the player is present, then do what's in the curly brackets. And what we're going to do is use the move towards point function. And the point we want to move to is the player 1 position on the x axis, and the player 1 position on the y axis. And that's just with this like the player object name, the object name and full stop, and then x and y. And the third argument on move towards point is the speed. I'm going to set that to 15. I also want it to play a new sound I've made. So audio play sound. I've created a new sound called Zap2, and it's priority 1 and it doesn't loop. Let's just close those statements. And I'll just put a hint in as well. Move toward player. I've also created a collision instance, so when it hits the player object, it destroys the instance of the bullet, so it doesn't continue to pass through the player. This will become important when we actually start to code the damage system. And I'm going to add another event, which is other and outside room. So if the object goes outside the room, it just gets destroyed as well, just as we do with the player laser, to stop like multiple instances building up off screen that we don't need. We now need to make the enemy object shoot, and what I've done here is I've created an alarm event, and the code for that shoot at player is instance create x and y, so it creates it where the enemy instance or object is. The object is the enemy laser, and then the alarm is reset to 20 frames, so it will repeatedly fire these little bullets 20 frames at 20 frames a time. I've also, in the create event, initialized the alarm, so as soon as the enemy object appears, the alarm is set to 20. So let's test that out. So that seems to be working fine. Now obviously you could add some random variables to that to make it less repetitive. So you could make the alarm on the enemy player random.